That first year of reading, I must have read, I don't know, a lot of books, probably over 100 books that first year. So this is David, and today I want to talk to you about learning and reading, and specifically what I like to call egoic reading, egoic learning. So I want to start off by telling you a little story. So this was back in the day when I first got into reading. I don't know how, but I stumbled onto like this bookstore, and I was just walking around the bookstore reading whatever caught my interest. And I slowly started to pick up this habit of reading, because when I read these books, I would learn so much, and I'll be like, wow, this is amazing. Actually, I can actually apply this to my life. And so it brought me like this new perspective around reading, and especially personal development, self-development. That was like my favorite area. And it got to a point where I set goals for myself, like these reading goals. Like I want to read one book a week, or I want to read, a book in a few days. And it started getting, the deadline started getting tighter and tighter. And I wanted to, progress, right? I wanted to up my goals and to read more and more, to learn more and more. And it got to a point where I was trying to read like a book a day. It got to that point. And then I started doing that, and I started reading a lot. That first year of reading, I must have read, I don't know, a lot of books, probably over 100 books that first year. And then a weird thing started to happen. So I would be reading, I would continuously be reading, right? And then I would, like, say for example, I went to the bookstore and I'll pick out a book. I'll pick out a book and I'll start reading this thing. And in my head, I'm just like, you know what? This book sounds very familiar. It sounds very familiar. Maybe I read like a similar book like this. And then as I read more and more, I realize that I did read this book before. I did read this book before, but I completely forgot about it. Because I was so obsessed of getting those numbers, hijacking up those reading numbers, right? Focusing on those goals, I forgot the main reason why I was reading in the first place. What was the main reason why I was reading? Well, it was to learn. And was the ultimate form of learning? Well, it was to use what we learn, right? And so like I got lost into feeding my ego, into getting my numbers up rather than reading to actually learn and to actually apply this stuff. And so from that moment on, I actually slowed down my reading. I thought, this is not a good way to read. It's kind of like, when you're like cramming a test for college, and you're cramming and cramming like a few nights before, and then you take the test, and then like a few months down the line, you forget everything that you learned. So I did not want that to be the case for reading books. And so I told myself, okay, you got to slow it down, David. You actually really have to slow it down. And so I started slowing it down. And the thing is, I learned to like speed read. I took all these speed reading courses, and there was even like the software that helps you to speed read. But I believe there's a time and place for speed reading. And it's not really applicable to everything. And definitely if you are a slower reader, you can, jack up your reading, a little bit. But I don't think it's applicable for everything. For example, if I'm trying to speed read through like a biology book or like a physics book, it's just not going to happen. And I tried this. I tried speed reading through some of these content, and it just won't work. Like I need to think about some of these concepts. I need some time to marinate in this idea rather than just trying to blaze my way through this content. So there's a time and place for speed reading. And I found out that speed reading isn't everything. Right? Trying to get through so many books in a short amount of time is not everything. It's also about the depth of knowledge that you're also absorbing into your life and also applying it. So it got me to the realization, this paradigm that I shouldn't be reading for the sake of the numbers, for the sake of hitting those book numbers. The main goal should be to learn and to apply what we learn. And when I slow down like this, not only did I grow more as a person, but I just got to know more about what I was reading, right? I actually got to apply and use the stuff of the books that I was reading rather than just, letting it sit on the shelf and not even applying some of the concepts inside of these books. And so now I don't really have a goal of like 100 books a year or anything like that. As long as I am growing and learning deeply, then I am content. Of course, you don't want to read too slow at the same time too. So maybe you want to have some kind of a book amount, but just don't do it to feed your ego. Just don't, have like an absurd goal of like reading, 100 books a week or something like that, or 100 books a year. Sorry. So that was just the lessons that I learned from reading too quickly and just feeding like my ego instead of reading for the main purpose of reading, which was learning and to grow. All right, so that's all I had for today. I hope you found value out of this one, and I will see you in next video.